Get set here. Well, good evening, everyone. On behalf of the LAM Foundation, it is my sincere pleasure to welcome you to the second session in our third season of our LAMposium in Your Living Room series. My name is Charlene Dunn. I am the Director of Patient and Clinical Programs for the Foundation, and I will be your moderator this evening. To those of you joining us for the first time, a very special welcome. If you would like to learn more about this series or view recordings of previous presentations, be sure to check out our LAMposium in Your Living Room page on the Foundation's website. A couple of real quick technical items before I introduce this evening's speaker. Microphones will be muted and the chat box disabled throughout our speaker's presentation. Following the presentation, we will open the chat box for a bit of Q&A, which will then be followed by our patient and family group discussion. I do encourage you to stay logged on for this opportunity to connect with fellow LAM patients and family members and others from around the globe. And finally, for optimal viewing, I would suggest you use the speaker view option for the presentation and the gallery view option for our group discussion. And if you're not familiar, those options are found in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker this evening. Joining us from the Foundation office in Cincinnati, Ohio, is our very own Sue Sherman. Sue, after 9 years at the helm of this foundation, is already familiar to most of you. You've crossed paths with her at conferences and regional meetings. You've hosted her at your community fundraisers, or you've had the pleasure of meeting her on Zoom or speaking with her on the phone. I've worked with Sue as a patient, as a volunteer LAM Foundation liaison, and in recent years as a full-time member of the Foundation staff. And since I have the mic for just a couple of minutes longer, I thought I would have a little fun with Sue's birthday eve introduction tonight. Now, you can read Sue's speaker bio on our website, but also, did you know Sue is an avid cyclist? In fact, she's rather an animal in the saddle, as it's referred to, and she'll be pedaling for a cure in the $1 Million Bike Ride in Philadelphia this coming June. Her sweet tooth answers to dark chocolate with nuts. She loves to laugh. And on the dogs or cats question, it's really no question, straight up dogs. And then there's Sue's heart. As the leader of the foundation, she is committed to understanding the perspectives and needs of the various members of our community, our patients, our family members, our clinicians, and our scientists. And she strives to create opportunities for these many voices to unite in a single mission, to find a cure for LAM. And with that, it is my pleasure to turn the mic over to our Chief Executive Officer, our fearless leader, our friend, Sue Sherman. Sue.
Oh, thank you, Char. What a lovely intro. Oops, am I unmuted?
You are good, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you, Char. What a lovely introduction. Are you seeing my screen?
Not seeing your screen share. No.
Okay. All right. Let's try that again.
Yeah.
All right.
There you are. Perfect.
All right. Excellent. Thank you for that warm introduction, Char. And it is very fun because 3 years ago on April 7th, which is tomorrow, I was in Boston for a regional meeting and got to celebrate my birthday at a fantastic regional meeting. And I couldn't think of a more fun way to spend my birthday than with my LAM family. So we have an action-packed night, and I'm just very excited to be with all of you. And I'm actually physically in the LAM Foundation offices right now. So I'm very pleased to see that in our audience tonight is an impressive mix of our community, including all of you women with LAM and family members and caregivers. I see a few scientists and clinicians. I want to warmly welcome many of our new members to the LAM community and to thank returning LAM family members who've been on this journey with us for many years, if not for decades. We are transitioning from 2 very challenging years, and we're looking ahead with an eye to process what we've learned over these last 2 years and apply the lessons of what made us better to the activities and approaches that have served us so well in the past. My agenda for tonight is to highlight some of our accomplishments and our priorities in 2022. and to focus on some research investments as well as the upcoming LAMposium, and to get all of your questions answered if we can. So let's begin where we begin everything, which is our mission. It is the heart of all that we do, and it continues to drive our planning at the foundation every year. So the LAM Foundation urgently seeks safe and effective treatments and ultimately a cure for lymphangioliomyomatosis through advocacy and the funding of promising research. We're dedicated to serving the scientific, medical, and patient communities by offering information, resources, and a worldwide network of hope and support. I believe that you will hear all of those themes through the presentation tonight. Our mission directs us to set annual priorities every year, and they help us prioritize our efforts to find, support, and connect every individual with LAM that we encounter and their caregivers. We work to improve access to expert clinicians and care teams around the world so that we can better diagnose and treat LAM. Every year, as you know, we work to raise money and fund the most promising research and use the funds generated by our generous donors. We also work to create unique and informative educational events, which I look forward to talking about tonight, both virtually and in person. And we also work to innovate so that we can continue to capture and inspire more people to believe in our mission and to financially support all that we do and all that you'll hear about tonight. Always good to revisit the past a little bit. The foundation was established in 1995 by our founders, Sue and Fran Burns, and Frank McCormick. They had the courage to create that mission that I just read and to envision a future like we have today in terms of research and momentum, yet we still share the same focus on finding a cure. Their legacies have led us to today. In 2021, Dr. Nishant Gupta stepped up to the role of scientific director, and I'm sure that most of you have interacted with him, whether it was in his former role as medical director or in his current role. You might have heard him speak or actually spoken with him directly. I do want to mention that it is an extraordinary thing that our foundation has benefited from 27 years of continuity, mentorship, and talent in our scientific and medical leadership. And that has definitely put us in an incredible position to keep doing what we do. So just a few slides on what I mentioned first, which is how we support the LAM community and everyone on this call tonight. And the first slide, I do love this slide. From the very earliest days in 1995, when Sue Burns could identify, I don't know if the number was 8 or 10 other women with LAM in addition to her daughter, Andrea Burns. She knew that the highest priority for rare disease advocacy is to find and connect as many women with LAM as possible. This remains the same today, and the power of patient engagement with the foundation is what improves our ability to understand the issues that you are all facing, to create programs and services that meet your needs, to share information about critical research and clinical trials in which you can participate, and also to increase global opportunities for us to collaborate because there are so few individuals with LAM. This chart, while it maps the growth of names in our database, it also maps the growth of the power of this community to change the trajectory of this disease. We are encouraged by the uptick in the number of people who have registered with the foundation in recent years, both domestically and globally. And we still suspect that there are thousands of women who have not connected with us, who have a LAM diagnosis, and always appreciate your help in helping people get connected with the services we offer. 2 additional programs that are very much a part of what we do in every year, especially even in 2022. And because these expand our advocacy work, both nationally and internationally, and they are the LAM Liaison Network and the Worldwide LAM Patient Coalition. These really represent the next tier of engagement by women with LAM and caregivers who volunteer and advocate both close to home and around the world. In the US and Canada, we have our LAM liaisons there on the left, and that's the maps of the regions that they represent. And around the world, we have our LAMambassadors, who are members of the Worldwide LAM Patient Coalition. That all of these groups connect patients to resources and to each other, and also organize local social events and regional meetings for education. Our partners around the world in the Worldwide LAM Patient Coalition are 19 member organizations, and we work together to share resources. And as an example, we have a new program in 2022 that is underwritten by a grant from CHEST, which is the American Association of Chest Physicians. And they have given the LAM Foundation a small grant to help disseminate globally the guidelines. So, as I said, the goal of the program is to share the published LAM clinical practice guidelines around the world. And the way we proposed to do that was to distill the lengthy guideline documents into an infographic that you see on this slide. We're now currently partnering with 3 of the 5 that our goal is, but 3 members of the WLPC, and they include Alhambra in Brazil, LAM in Spain, and the LAM organization in France. They're translating this document into their languages to share with their communities, and we look forward to increasing that to 2 additional organizations. Just another example of how we're making the world a smaller place by sharing as much helpful information as possible. Many of you are aware of or have participated in the very important program that is the Circle of Hope Transplant Support Group. It not only provides crucial information and empathetic support from transplant recipients to women who are having to consider lung transplant, it facilitates the vital process of delivering LAM tissue samples to LAM scientists. Under the leadership of Dr. Dan Dilling and Charlene Dunn, who you all have met already this evening, this program has really accelerated LAM research, and you'll hear a little bit more about that as I talk about what we funded this year. And as a point of reference, LAM lung transplants are becoming more and more rare, which is good. That means that treatments are working. Since 2018, there have been 19 lung transplants in women with a LAM diagnosis. 14 of those generated tissue that we were able to distribute through this program to our LAM scientists. And a final program, we've all gotten used to these LAMposium in your living room sessions starting in 2020 with the pandemic. And we're looking forward to continuing this as a regular program as part of the LAM Foundation. In collaboration with our scientists, our clinic directors, our LAM liaisons, and all of you, we're now reaching thousands of people a year and having global participation. And we foresee that that is always going to balance our ability as we get back into in-person meetings. We want to keep these virtual meetings, and that is feedback that we've received from all of you. A few notes on our clinic and research network and improving access to expert care. We have at present 25 LAM clinics in the United States and 30 more globally. The members of this network are very much a network. They correspond regularly, they meet regularly and talk about case studies. They connect LAM patients to multidisciplinary teams for the best care and diagnosis. And it really is impressive that 4 times a year they're on a call together and they're learning from each other, because it is difficult to treat a disease as rare as LAM. And while we may take this other map for granted, there is a lot of work behind the scenes that they're doing to support all of you as patients. I hope that the majority of you can get access to a LAM clinic. As highlights, we have added new clinics in South Africa with Dr. Caligaro and also with Drs. Lobo and Kinder in North Carolina. We have welcomed transitioning clinic directors in Oregon and West Virginia, and we're in the early phases or middle of the phases of welcoming a new clinic in Oslo in Norway. So we expect that the LAM clinic will continue to diversify and grow over time. So let's get to the heart of what we raise all of our money for and invest in each year, which is LAM research. Here is a bar chart, and the slide has a lot of things that are coming, but the pink bars show the cumulative grant awards that the LAM Foundation has made since 1996 to investigators who want to study LAM and who apply to the LAM Foundation with their proposals that are then evaluated by our scientific advisory board. It's hard to see there, but the pink line goes up to just about $12 million in support directly to LAM scientists through the grant program. In addition to that, we provide support for patients to participate in clinical trials, the support of our research meetings, which, as we know, facilitates collaboration and new ideas, and then general research support, other projects and programs that come up throughout the course of the year for a grand total of over $18 million that this small community has raised and dedicated through the foundation to LAM research. A little footnote, the gray caps on the tops of those pink towers are the efforts of the LAM Foundation Easy Breathers cycling team, who will be riding. Several of you on this call are going to be on the team on June 11th in Philadelphia. And that group, along with the University of Pennsylvania's Orphan Disease Center, have raised over $740,000 since 2014. So again, that's pushing us up closer to $19 million, specifically, easy for me to say, to support LAM research. In 2021, I think many of you recall that our Day of Giving, which specifically raises money for this grant program and our LAM research programs, was a phenomenal success. And what that allowed us to do is increase our funding for, increase our funding for the programs last year for a total of $610,000 for 6 projects. And I've got 3 per slide. The individuals who received grants are Amy Ryan from the University of Iowa, Rhonda Sesniak from Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, Minzy Guo, also from Children's Hospital Medical Center. We gave awards to Isam Ben-Sara. It was actually his 3rd award from the LAM Foundation. He is at Northwestern. Yan Tang from Brigham and Women's in Boston received her 2nd grant from us and has also received a $1 million bike ride award. And Dr. Yan Zhu, again, from Cincinnati Children's. What was very exciting last year is that 50%, half of everyone who applied for funding from the LAM Foundation were first-time applicants. So people are continuing to find the foundation to support LAM research. And the same ratio applied to the recipients. So of the 6, 3 of these individuals are receiving their first grant. I would be overestimating my ability to describe those 6 projects with any expertise, but I do want to highlight 2 of them because I think that they are examples of the very exciting progress we're making in LAM science. And because I think they illustrate how patient engagement, LAM clinic collaboration, and donor generosity come together to power our research portfolio. I have 2 caveats before I describe these 2 projects. And that is one that I just alluded to, which is, as a layperson, I'm sure I won't do justice to the depth and breadth of these projects. And secondly, I happen to pick 2 from the same research center in Cincinnati, but they're just 2 examples of the many LAM research programs that are simultaneously ongoing right now all around the world. So LAM research is being conducted in Chicago, in Philadelphia, in Boston, in Iowa City, Washington, D.C., Sao Paulo, Brazil, Nottingham, England, Barcelona, Spain, Milano, Italy, Ottawa, in Canada, Beijing, and so many more. It is breathtaking that so many of our scientific community are working hard on LAM research. Another reason why we're so excited to get off the virtual venue here and get together in Chicago with all of our scientists in September. More on that to come. So I'd like to begin by talking a little bit about the project proposed by Rhonda Sesniak. And she, as an investigator, is new to LAM research. 2021 was the first year that she applied to the LAM Foundation for grant funding. She received a pilot grant, which is $50,000. Let's get some initial proof of concept data. And her proposal is to develop a tool that will help physicians better predict and address rapid lung function decline in LAM patients. So as we all know, the lung function is primarily measured via pulmonary function tests and FEV1. Many LAM patients experience drops in FEV1 during the course of their disease. And these drops they're highly variable between women with LAM and even within a single patient over time. But we know that these drops in FEV1 indicate irreversible lung damage. So what's really cool is Rhonda and her team have studied registry data from women who have participated in the research protocol at the NIH and also from the data at the University of Nottingham in the UK. And what they're suggesting is that rapid FEV1 decline can be predicted with a high degree of accuracy. So the proposed pilot project here is to translate that data into an app-based LAM calculator that providers, doctors treating patients with LAM can use. And the findings of this pilot study could lead to a larger scale adoption of this calculator and could result in more effective timing and prescribing of sirolimus before there is more significant lung decline. So very practical, very real world in capitalizing on many years of commitment and dedication by LAM patients to help provide this data that they're now analyzing and taking into the future. The second study is something that we've talked about quite a bit for those of you who've attended our virtual LAM research conferences. And that is a proposal from Yan Zhu, who's also based at Cincinnati Children's. And Yan is a bioinformatics expert who received prior funding from the LAM Foundation. Over the last 5 years, many of you may have heard that she has worked closely with Frank McCormick and a remarkably diverse group of scientists, physicians, and patients related to single cell RNA sequencing. And that project was specifically funded by generous donors to the LAM Foundation. With the success of that project, Jan has made a proposal to organize these massive data sets from the single cell analysis into a form that can be easily viewed, explored, reanalyzed, and disseminated through a web browser. And this is called the LAM Cell Atlas. So the LAM Cell Atlas will be available to any scientist at no cost, all of that data, and freely available as a public resource for scientific communities. And hopefully that will enable the discovery of new biomarkers, therapeutic targets, and therapeutic targets in LAM. Additionally, as other institutions, this has already happened, so data from the Boston team at Brigham and Women's, the University of Pennsylvania, their data is a part of this LAM Cell Atlas as well. So our scientists are collaborating, and future data sets can be added to this as well. So it really is phenomenal that this is now a web-based portal that allows global scientists to work together. And it's funding that's been made possible by all of your donations through the LAM Foundation. So with these two highlights, I hope you'll share my excitement about these examples of how our integrated community is coming together. We could probably talk all day, and maybe we'll get the chance to do that in September about the other incredible advancements in many different directions related to LAM research. One last exciting program in our LAM science is that we know we need to keep reinvigorating our scientific community with young investigators. And the Hilary Lamb and Harry Philippakis, who are both researchers in Boston at Brigham and Women's, have formed, along with us, the LAM Foundation Early Career Researcher Network, or 10 for short. And they want to foster collaboration, community, career development among the next generation of LAM researchers. They're meeting every other month. They present their LAM science for discussion, and we're again hoping to welcome them at a happy hour discussion in Chicago. So let's move on now from those priorities related to our mission to the next topic, which is our educational conferences. And I have a very busy, very pink slide here. Sorry about that. We all know that the International LAM Research Conference and LAMposium is just an inspiring and magical and important event. On the left, you'll see over there that prior to this timeline in 2014, there were 16 annual conferences that really brought this community together from the earliest years till now. Since that time, we've hosted a variety of different forms of the event: Rare Lung Disease Consortium, partnering with the TSC Alliance, and the Patient Benefit Conference in Los Angeles. We then, as we all know, had to morph into our virtual versions of research and patient education conferences. I'm very excited to talk about the International LAM Research Conference and LAMposium that we have scheduled now for September 8th through 11th, 2022 in Chicago. While we do have a lot of experience in planning these events for our community, we have taken great care in considering what it's going to mean to host an event like this, which will be our first in-person event post-pandemic. In planning, we conducted a survey last year that many of you participated in to get community input into how to do this well. So 58 professionals and 154 patients and family members participated in our survey. And that was done in mid-2021. We've all been on this journey together that month over month, things change, concerns rise, and we're moving along with this as best we can to make the best decisions. What we heard in that survey from all of you and from our team here at the foundation is that in general, people are very open and eager to participate in in-person meetings. Also, Chicago was nominated as the #1 choice for ease of travel, less expensive travel. And it was kind of neck and neck, but Chicago seemed like the most logical choice. Both groups specifically said that safety precautions related to COVID will be a priority, that we need to address that, and that there may be an additional need for financial assistance given so many changes for all of us in getting to the conference. So factoring that in and doing our planning, we have so many options. The format of planning this, is it all in person? Is it a hybrid? How do we manage this event? We started by thinking, what are the outcomes that we want to have happen? What are the most important things that happen when a LAMposium is working? And that is that we facilitate research collaboration, bringing our scientists and clinicians together with all of you to learn and share. The second thing that happens with a successful conference is that we're able to create that unique environment for spontaneous and meaningful interactions across the entire LAM community. And the third main priority that has influenced how we're organizing the event is that we showcase our community. We get sponsors, we raise money, we engage in the research room, we build awareness of all these things that we're talking about tonight. So what that has led to is that we are focusing with the LAMposium in Chicago on the in-person experience. And while we are importantly, we're keeping the LAMposium in your living room sessions moving forward. So great talks that come up from LAMposium could be reprised in future virtual events. But we will not be having any broadcast of the educational events during LAMposium. So we felt that it was important to produce an excellent event for people who are in Chicago. There will be portions of the Saturday evening event at the Gala that will be broadcast. We also heard that the patient and family travel grants are very important. So we have expanded those this year, and we'll talk about that. And lastly, that we want to focus on safety. And I'll talk a little bit about what we've put in place related to COVID. So much of this has been heartfelt, going day to day, trying to appreciate how scary it is to travel and come to an event, and yet knowing how important it is to facilitate this in-person conference. And we're hoping to strike the right balance as we continue to monitor where things are headed, on a national and global basis. So I'd like to just step back for a moment from all the planning and give you a sense of the actual weekend so that you are aware of what's kind of the same as before and what's different. And since you can't read that, I broke it down. So pretty typical. Thursday, September 8th, there's nothing happening during the day, simply getting in, getting settled. Registration is open in the late afternoon, and there is a welcome reception for everyone, professionals, clinicians, patients, and family members. It is a welcome reception, it's not a full dinner, and it's very much a rolling experience to come in, get settled, and get oriented in the hotel. We're at the Hilton. Friday, we'll start with breakfast in the morning. Both the professionals and patient and family educational sessions will run throughout the day from 8 to about 4:30 with breakfast and lunch. And there is one thing that is different based on feedback from our survey is that people express an interest in more time to be together and not be strictly programmed with so many functions. So toward the end of the day on Friday, we will host the poster session and wine and cheese reception that's open to everyone. And then there's a couple of smaller events for the young investigators, as well as any clinic directors who are a part of the Clinic Director Congress. But that will be open time to find dinner. There's a lot of great places to walk to nearby the Hilton Rosemont, and basically spend time together that evening of Friday. So that is a little bit different than in prior years. Then we'll move into Saturday with a full day of research conference activities, as well as patient and family educational sessions, breakfast and lunch. And then we'll all move into the Breath of Hope Gala and celebrating being together, raising funds, and notice a little emphasis on pink feathers. Sunday, we'll debrief in the morning with a summary by our conference chairs, Dr. Lisa Hensky and Dr. Stephen Hamas, for patients and family members about what was covered in the research conference for the prior 2 days. And the scientists and professionals will also do a conference and research debrief and planning for where we head next. And I know we're doing Q&A here shortly, so I'll continue on. Watching my time very quickly, we do have our Travel awards, as I mentioned, they've expanded this year. Hopefully you've seen a lot of communication about this through our outreach, the newsletters on the website. We do have the Shelley Owens First Time Attendee Award in memory of our dear friend and LAM sister, Shelley Owens, who really encouraged everyone to attend LAMposiums and get involved. And through this grant, it's focused on bringing patients and a family member who have never attended LAMposium before. We hope to welcome as many newly diagnosed individuals as well as people who simply have not attended LAMposium. Domestic and international applications are welcome. The application deadline is April 19th. Notifications of award will be within a couple of days of that, hopefully I would expect by April 25th at the latest. And then additional applications can be accepted after that until the fund is depleted. And we will, as we receive those, we will provide notification on a rolling basis, understanding that this may be a decision that people need more time to make. And that's how we're going to manage that going forward. Similar to the SOFTA award is the LAM Family Network Travel Grant for any individual with LAM, whether they've attended a LAMposium before or not. This is a donor-directed specific travel fund to provide assistance for as many women with LAM to attend as possible. So I encourage anyone who may be on the fence about coming, if finances are in any way a consideration, please apply for this. Again, domestic and international applications are welcome, same deadlines, and same rolling process after that. Again, we know there are so many variables about making this decision. For those of you who would love to see someone from your LAM clinic present at LAMposium, please know that we have a new LAM Clinic mTour, which is a meeting travel reimbursement program. And our goal is to bring our clinic directors and patient care staff to LAMposium to be a part of the experience. The Clinic Director Congress is being led by Dr. Sihari Varaghavan from Emory. And this grant is really about getting more of the clinic network attendees. Again, domestic and international applications are welcome. And I believe that actually has a later application deadline of June, and then we'll start notifying applicants in April. And finally, as happens with every LAMposium, our scientists are applying through the abstract process. The poster session and abstract process is being led by Dr. Krimskaya at UPenn. And we have awards for outstanding junior investigators whose submissions are evaluated by the Scientific Programming Committee. If you couldn't keep up paying attention with all of that, it's all on the website, and you can find it at thelamfoundation.org and click on the banner at the top of the homepage. Finally, with regard to safety, where we have landed with this is that proof of vaccination will be required, as well as a booster. As it stands right now, masking in the hotel will be optional, and that we will continue to monitor local and national developments and will adjust if needed. These buttons were an example from another conference that we were studying. And we hope to have some sort of way for you to indicate what feels most comfortable for you. And again, I just want to pause for a moment and let you know that we do sincerely appreciate that travel and getting together in large groups is confounding given the world that we live in, and you're having LAM. And we welcome any questions, any concerns that you want to bring to our attention, and we'll do our best to strike a balance between planning a great event and meeting your needs. A couple final slides. We do have a conference theme this year, and it is Together We Rise. And RISE stands for the importance of research, innovation, support, and empowerment. Through this presentation, I hope you've heard all of those, and that this is how we make a difference and change, as I said earlier, the trajectory of this disease for all of you. And I think you'll see a couple different ways that we want to rise together for this occasion, not only at LAMposium, but also continuing into the future. We do have some questions that have come in related to the Breath of Hope Gala. So we're going with a pink feather theme. So think pink feathers and something along this lines. Some of you can see my picture. And anything with feathers on your shoes, in your hair, in a boa, in your dress. Not required, but certainly a sense of fun. We will have our silent auction, and I'm happy to announce that we're expecting a lot of fun with this, both virtually and in person. So we would appreciate any of your support to collect or donate auction items. We'll have the virtual auction similar to 2020. That will be available for anyone around the world to be a part of. And we'll have a smaller in-person auction for the gala attendees. Some favorite and competitive auction items are experiences. We had a virtual cellist concert. In 2020, we had an online cooking class. We have handmade quilts and bags, artwork, and beauty products. And if you need inspiration, there's the Gala website on our website has more ideas. And I know that I'm going to consider one item for the online auction and one item for the in-person auction, since I will be there. So these are all tax deductible, and they're incredibly valuable to raising funds for the foundation. So I thank you for participating in that bit of fun. With that, I have ended my official slide deck, except to express my gratitude to all of you for your engagement, your trust, your generosity in supporting our mission, and for inspiring us every day to keep this mission going forward. Please, let's open it up for questions, and if reaching out to us at any time is also an option. And with that, I am going to turn this back over to Shar to start answering some questions.
Thank you, Sue. It's a lot of good stuff. I will dive right into a couple of our questions. I can see, so the chat box, I believe, is open. And yes, here we go. So what I'm going to do is you can go ahead and start typing your questions into the chat. And Sue, I'm going to go ahead and go with one that was submitted to us ahead of time while the chat questions come in. And the first one I have is, if I register for the conference, but am unable to fly due either to health or to COVID restrictions in my country, would the registration fee be refundable?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's in any case, if plans change and you're unable to travel to the event, we would reimburse you or return the registration fee.
Great. Okay. And then we have a question in the chat about, is the booster mandatory to attend?
Currently, yes. The proof of vaccination, whether it was a single dose or a double dose, and then the booster is where the committee and our clinicians have landed as the best safety precaution for attending the conference.
Okay. Thank you. And some of that information, I'll just point out, is we do have a lot of COVID information. If you go to the, as Sue mentioned, clicking on the banner on the website, and then you'll get to the main page and see a drop-down menu or on the left-hand side that covers a lot of the different topics. Could you talk, Sue, a little bit about the fee, if you have this off the top of your head, the registration fee for a patient and a registration fee for family members?
Yeah, and I'll ask my team to fill in if I don't get this right. The registration fee for a patient is $50. And the registration fee for family members, I think, is it $350? Somebody help me with that?
Yep, I think that's good. Not of
Okay.
agreement all around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
then-
that is inclusive of the educational events and the meals that I outlined for all of the days, with the exception of Friday, where you would be on your own.
Great. And
Again,
gala attendance, I might end. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, then the entire gala is included in that. So the meal, the events of that evening.
Thank you. Scrolling here. Okay, great question about the silent auction. May I bring a huge basket for the silent auction? This is from someone who will be attending in Chicago. And then what is the deadline for submitting items for the auction?
Okay, the deadline, okay. Huge baskets welcome. Understanding that whoever is in the room is going to be the people bidding on it. And we do have many people who live locally or who have driven, or as long as they can figure out how to get it home. But definitely welcome. And I believe Julie mentioned to me, Julie, please confirm that we're looking at August 1st as a deadline for anyone who wants their items to be on the virtual auction, sending them here to the foundation. The ones that we take up for the in-person gala auction, they can be sent here as well. Or if you're going, you can bring it. Just let us know ahead of time what it is so we can prepare. Does that sound right, Julie and Ronnie?
That's correct. Yes, that's correct.
Great. Thank you. And I just want to clarify one thing when I think it's coming through here. So I'm just going to reiterate what you just said, Sue, about the conference fees. We had a question. So
Yep.
The $50 for a LAM patient includes the entire conference, including Saturday night. There is not a separate fee for the gala. So if you're there at the conference, the gala is part of your experience.
Absolutely. Yes, everyone, right?
Yeah, family members too, the same thing. I think we've got a couple of questions about boosters, and I might come back to them in a minute. So folks know that I see your questions out there, and I'm going to hold those for just a second and see. Is it okay? We have someone who has in the midst of a move and they've lost their actual vaccination cards. Do photos of them work? Do we know this yet?
We do not know that process yet. We're working with the vendor who's going to help us verify vaccination status. So more to come.
Okay, thank you. And could you revisit the decision on the taping or not taping of the patient sessions and the research sessions for LAMposium? We had a few people come in late, I think, that didn't hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the past, we have recorded for later viewing some of the patient sessions. We've never recorded the research sessions. And so in looking at all of the complexity of hosting an effective and meaningful conference for the 200 to 300 people who will be there in person, we have opted to focus on the in-person event and not record those, with the exception of portions of the gala, and focus on LAMposium in your living room to recreate the topics that were the most popular or well produced. So that, think of Chicago as another event in addition to the virtual conferences that we host. And it's all a part of the ways that we provide education to the community.
Great. Thank you, Sue. And could you talk a little bit about the hotel block and the process of reserving your room? The question is, have we reserved the hotel block for the meeting? So, yeah. Yes,
we do have a hotel block. Based on initial experience, I'm not going to say that makes it easy. So rest assured that yes, we are on the hook for many, many, many rooms. And we hope that you will, as many of you who are comfortable coming will come. There is information on our website, and if you have any trouble going on and registering for the hotel block from the 8th through the 11th, call us and we'll try to troubleshoot. If you go in a little early or you stay a little late, sometimes that can put a kink in the system and it will say there's no rooms. I'm telling you right now, there's plenty of rooms, and we'll keep updating on that. But yes, we do have those rooms reserved, and I hope that answers the question.
It does. Thank you. Another great question from someone who's obviously been to LAMposium previously is, will we have the fundraising table or the merch table?
The merch table. Yeah, we have a whole bunch of boas. Yes, we will. We're working on that right now, and we have items that we have here or that we're procuring, and then other things that people can bring to sell. So yes, we will have the merch table. If you want to volunteer to work the merch table, we're open for that too.
Great. Thank you, Sue. I'm going to shift gears. There are a couple of questions about timing of boosters. So you've had the first initial vaccination dose, whether it was the single J&J or a 2-dose Moderna or Pfizer, and you've had the first booster or the third shot. When should the fourth shot happen? We've had a couple that have gone to that, but in terms of somebody is vaccinated the original dose and not yet had a booster, timing on that. So I don't know if do you want to field those or shall we?
Well, let's see. I'm hoping that Nishant Gupta is on the call and listening, because we've talked a lot about this, but I don't want to speak out of my sphere of influence. Nishant, are you on the call?
Yeah, hi, Sue. I'm on the call, although I should confess that I did not pay attention to the question, so someone will have to repeat that.
Gotcha. Thank you, Nishant. Thanks for popping on. We just have a question about timing of boosters. So kind of twofold. One, as it directly relates to attendance at LAMposium. If you had your initial 2-dose vaccination, is it okay to go ahead and get the first booster at any time? And part B, if you've had the first booster, what is the appropriate time to have the second?
Never an easy question, is there?
No.
Yeah, so to the one of the comments there was whether the timing of the booster should be dictated or influenced by the timing of the LAMposium. I think we should keep those completely separate. The booster is for your safety, and I think the booster and the timing of the booster should be dictated by your health and not by LAMposium or any conference or any such event for that matter. So having said that, if you've had your primary vaccination series, whether it was a single dose J&J or 2 doses of Moderna or Pfizer, or 2 doses of AstraZeneca or any other vaccine for international folks, and it's been more than 6 months or so, I think you are definitely eligible for and should get your first booster as soon as possible. The second booster question for patient is a little more complicated. So the US FDA has said that patients who are 50 years or older or who are immunocompromised can get the second booster. The question always comes back to, are patients with LAM who are on sirolimus considered the same degree of immunosuppressed as other patients, such as, say, post-transplant patients or patients on other medications? And we just don't know the answer to that. The current, whatever little evidence or experience we have so far seems to suggest that patients on sirolimus mount a similar response to the COVID vaccination as patients who are not on sirolimus, which is reassuring, very reassuring. And the 3 doses do still seem to be providing very effective protection. And this is getting further complicated by the fact that, at least in the US, the number of cases and the hospitalizations, etc., are significantly down. So the question that comes up then is, should you take the booster now, or should you wait till perhaps late summer, fall? If you take the booster now, will you need another dose in the fall when cases might be rising? And these are all unanswered questions. And I'm rambling a bit because I really don't have a good answer for it. In general, if you've had more than 6 months pass, there is absolutely nothing wrong with you opting to go for a second booster. We know they are safe. We know they are effective. We know the immunity does tend to wane after 6 months or so. So if you were to opt for a second booster, that there certainly would be nothing wrong with that.
Nishant, I hope that answers the questions that have been posted in chat thus far. If not, go ahead and type something else in there. And Nishant, while we have you, if I may offer you one more question that came in ahead of time. And this is, I would like to know, this is pertaining to VEGF-D. I would like to know if the LAM Foundation is presently funding any research related to the possibility of transforming the VEGF-D test into a more accessible tool to help diagnose LAM. If not, is it possible to think about this possibility? That is, to find an easier way to collect individual blood samples and then send them to be analyzed in the US. And this individual is thinking of something similar to the filter paper that collects bloods for newborn screenings.
Yeah, a very good question and a very important question. We have thought long and hard about VEGF-D, and we are still actively thinking about it. This is just a very complicated and a difficult puzzle to solve. But I think first and foremost, just completely agree, understand, and acknowledge that this is something we do need to seriously think about solving. And not only for international folks, even folks within the US have a lot of trouble sometimes just getting VEGF-D to the lab in Cincinnati. The particular idea about, a filter paper or a sort of a strategy is probably not going to work because of the blood concentration of VEGF-D. What we currently do is we ask the lab at Cincinnati to sort of run the VEGF-D as a research test at no charge to the international physicians or patients who want to send the sample. But you're still sort of left with the shipping fees, you're left with the shipping delays and the problems with how much can you trust the sample if it's spent 3 days on a courier, etc. So really for this to work on a worldwide scale, there need to be hubs or places, or even if you have one hub per continent, if you will, to send those specimens. The other problem with this is that the testing frequency or the number of samples at any given place are generally going to be low. And it requires a lot for a lab to sort of continually maintain the competency in order to have this clinically accredited in their lab, which adds to another layer. And we can discuss this in any number of detail that you like. I'm giving just an example of some of the major problems that we have to sort through. But the short answer to the question, if it was, is there any possibility to think about this? Yes, there is all sorts of possibilities, and we have been thinking about it. I just wish we had found some sort of a better solution to it. But this is definitely on our minds.
Thank you, Nishant. One other question that came in about that, and then we have a couple of questions, Sue, about back to the conference. But Nishant, we have one patient they're looking to use the VEGF-D as diagnosis right now, and she's just having a difficult time figuring out how and where to get the VEGF-D drawn. Can you say
yeah,
something
sure.
about that?
I think you have the VEGF-D requisition slips as well, or I can send them. Just reach out to any one of us, and the form has the sample drawing instructions, processing instructions, and shipment instructions. It's not, that part is shouldn't be too complicated as long as you have someone draw your blood and just package and ship it accordingly. And especially if this person is in the US, that shouldn't be too complicated.
Thank you. And then I lied, I have one more. If for those that were advised to get a full third dose or booster, would the fourth shot or the second booster also be a full dose, or should it be the half dose? And that looks to be our final COVID question.
Yeah, well, at least there is some clear answer I can give here. That should be your booster dose.
Thank you. Thank you, Nishant. Appreciate popping on. Sue, a question we had about the registration process for a first-time attendee. And if you are a first-time attendee and contemplating, please do ask your questions, because it's this is brand new. It's been 4 years since any of us have been at a LAMposium. And if you're looking to come for the first time, please don't hesitate. All questions are good questions. This one is, should we wait to register if we are a first-time attendee? Wait and see if we can attend based on the travel assistance amount, or is it okay to go ahead and register and change our minds?
You know, you can do either. Honestly, most people will wait and get the confirmation of the travel assistance, and then have that peace of mind that you have what you need, and you can register for the hotel, register for the conference, and it's a couple of weeks away at this point. I think that's most common.
Thank you. I think we've covered most everything in the chat, unless I've missed it. So if I have missed your question, would you please type it in the chat one more time really quickly? Otherwise, I would like to thank Sue for being here with us this evening, and turn it back over to her for any closing comments before we move into our group discussion.
Well, thank you for this evening to be with all of you. I really am so looking forward to being in Chicago with those of you who can attend. And I think I would close by just giving a huge shout out to Ali Venugopal out in Seattle, who after many years of being cautious about who she shared her LAM story with, posted it publicly and associated that with a birthday fundraiser on Facebook. And before she knew it, she had raised over $1,000. I don't know where you're at now, Ali, but I think it's a great example of true LAM power, that you, through that effort, will bring a young investigator to LAMposium, and that may change the course of LAM science. So big cheers to you, Ali, and to all of you for doing everything that it takes to change your futures. Looking forward to seeing you in Chicago.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue. That was really kind. And just to let you know, it's up to 1325. So I'm super excited.
Yay.
Well done.
Actually, two birthdays we have here, so we won't put you through the pains of a happy birthday, group happy birthday. It never works very well over Zoom, although we do have Peggy Hot on tonight, and she could lead us. I'm just about whether we'll do it. Sue, thank you very much. This has been fantastic. If you're going to stay on for the group discussion, and actually before we segue, because while we're in this format and not spotlighted, I'd like to, could I ask all of the LAM Foundation team to just turn on their cameras real quick and say hello, because there's a lot that goes on in the background. We've got Erin Williams is on. I can see her. Julie's on. Judy's on. Denise, Jenny, I'm not sure. So if you're all there, thank you very much for working so hard with us behind the scenes tonight. This has been great. And Sue, thanks for letting me introduce you on the night before your birthday. Thank you, everyone. Okay, if you're going to stay on for our group discussion, do please turn on your camera. We will stop the recording. There's Julie, I see her pop up now. And we will turn off the recording for this portion of it.